All right. So part two on two of the biggest things I hear that y'all worry about with CRNA school interviews. I did the part one talking about confidence versus arrogance. The second thing I want to talk about is why you guys like to rush, right? Like you guys like to rush through the questions, or you give these like super choppy, like, yeah, I want to be CRNA, like this is why. And, I like physiology and yeah. And then you're like that, right? So you're giving these like super choppy answers or really quick answers. They don't, even if you've kind of prepped, they're not really thought out. Or you take a bunch of just like fancy words and you like put them together, but you don't use any like examples or any stories or make any connection. It's just like, yeah, flexibility, advocacy, resiliency, discipline driven grit. And it's like, okay, but what else, right? So I want you guys to think back to your very first like code blue, right? When it was your patient. Like maybe you're the one that walked in on it. Maybe you're just kind of noticing like everything kind of go flat or whatever. Like remember what that felt like, right? It was almost like this out of body experience. You're like, oh my God, this can't be happening. You're like fear. In anesthesia, we call it like, like ass tightening. Like we get really like you're like your anal sphincter tightening, we call it, right? When things start to go wrong, right? But I want you just to reflect back on your very first code on your patient. Like you were completely scared, right? You were probably not very confident. You like knew your role, but didn't really know your role. And then, depending on who was working that day, a bunch of people come in and it's either organized or it's like chaotic. You probably felt out of place and you're like, this person literally did something I did. Oh my God, what do I do? And then it's like, why did I sign up for this? Like for real, right? So remember that. And I want you to think about where you are now, right? Most of you are probably on the rapid response team. So you're like going to the floor, like freaking head to toe assessment, talking to the nurse, looking at the patient, talking to family, what's going on? What are the labs? What do we need to do? Right? You're probably on the code team, right? A lot of you guys are charge nurses, right? So you still get that like adrenaline rush, but you're confident in your abilities because you've gotten better over time. You showed up to work, you took the hard patients, right? And when you're at codes now, you're able to kind of rein it in, right? You're able to kind of like look at everything globally, right? And kind of take charge of the situation. So you're in your interview, you're nervous, you don't know what to expect, you're scared you're going to make a fool out of yourself. You want this so bad, it's like paralyzing, right? You're like comparing yourself, you're seeing all the other people walking around, you're like, oh my God, what are they going to think about me, right? Instead of feeling those nerves, allowing your nerves to be there because it's totally natural and normal, but not letting them take over, even like as you do now as a nurse. Like things happen, you're in uncomfortable situations, you still have to call doctors, you still have to do all those things, you still have those nerves, you still have kind of that energy, but you're able to be confident because over time, you've gotten experience and you've gotten better, right? And I'm going to say this again. Your worth is never going to be on the line at your interview. Okay. You are sharing all these stories of catching codes and being a leader, right? You're sharing your knowledge, you're sharing the value that you have to add to the CRNA profession. And the only way that you can possibly do that is to answer their questions and give each question as it comes everything that you have, right? One at a time. So really check yourself when you're sitting in there and you're like, the nerves are taking over and you're more concerned about the next question versus taking a breath and answering the question at hand and thinking, okay, this is the question. This is what they want to know. What can I share succinctly and clearly and briefly, right? But get enough point across that will help them see the value that I have to add in my experience, right? Same thing when you get a patient, right? You can't get a sick as heck ICU patient like from the ER or something, and you're just blasting through the admission stuff. You're like, you're not even paying attention, right? You have to get that patient stabilized first. You have to prioritize, right? Same thing in the interview. Prioritize the question at hand. Answer honestly, answer powerfully, end that question, take a breath, and go on to the next. Anxiety is like fear about the future. And the people that don't interview well are the ones who let their anxiety just take over versus allowing the anxiousness to be there, taking a breath, but still knowing and having that confidence that I can do this. You can be nervous and you can be confident at the same time. You can have both of those inside your body, right? You're the only person that is able to go in there and do this interview. I can't do it for you. No one can do it for you. You have to do it. They selected you. They want to meet you and they want to ask you questions to see how you handle yourself, right? And this confidence piece, guys, it starts right now. It starts in the application process. It starts in that interview room, right? Because confident in where you're at now and being humble enough to jump into CRNA school and be a novice and take all those growing pains, it starts in that interview, right? So one question at a time, allow them to see the best of you in every question. Don't try to speed things up. Catch yourself when you start to kind of mumble, just, take a breath. Sorry, I'm really nervous, guys. Okay, give me a second. Just be a human, right? Be a human. I say this all the time when people have their Grammy moment, like, hi, we'd like you to perform at the Grammys. Like, they don't go out there and rush it. They take it in, right? They're not trying to run off the stage. You're like, dude, I've been recording albums. I was on YouTube. I've been working from the bottom to the top. I am going to wear my gown and my makeup or my suit or whatever the heck I'm going to wear. And I'm going to bit on that stage and I'm going to pour my heart out for this moment because this is my moment. I want you guys to do the same. Okay. So keep preparing, keep prepping, keep working to believe that what you have to offer the school is valuable. You have amazing things to bring to the CRNA table, right? And nothing is going to change your worth. Nothing's going to change that in that interview. Okay. All right. You guys can do this. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.